2 days of education, knowledge, sharing, empowering, innovating each other around this new local control funding formula and local control accountability. Let me start by thanking the Park Mesa Neighborhood Council. Give them a big round of applause. Let me tell you, I have been to this presentation to about 6 institutions who have refused to support someone like me who's very knowledgeable telling people this information. So the fact that this neighbourhood council, made up of 24 members, voted unanimously for me to come and train this community is second to none. I've been to the highest, I went to the federal government, and I'm right back down to the community. So what does that message say? Somebody doesn't want us to know something, alright? So I'm letting you know that what I'm about to tell you for 2 days, and there are other experts in the room, Walter and Sharon and George and Marion and Gwen, who've been with me on this revolution journey we've been on. Everybody will be inputting, but what I'm going to do over the next 2 days is I'm going to break this thing down to you line by line, word by word. Every I that's dotted and every T that's crossed is going to be explained to you, because I have spent the last year really learning this information. So this is not about me talking at you. I don't train like that. I'm not a teacher, I'm a trainer. And as a trainer, it's about facilitation. So I'm facilitating the dialogue between us all today and next Saturday. But I also want to set the scene. And so by setting the scene, the first thing I want you to do is I want everybody to go around the room. And I'm going to give people 2 to 3 minutes to tell us a little bit about their history, so we all know who each other's are. And Marion's done something very good and done her name tag on the paper that you've got. You can fold it over. We've got marker pens, we've got flip chart pens. But this is going to be the family of learners. We got Pam from the Neighbourhood Council. She's going to be photographing you all. So we operate in real time. So she's going to be posting right now to Facebook. This training is on. You're missing out. If you're in the community, you can come on down. George is filming because a lot of people think they know who I am and they know what I do. So I have now George recording and documenting who I am and what I do. So I'm going to tell my story, not let other people on the internet tell who Yo Beckles is. So Yo Beckles is going to Beckles watch herself, okay? So people can then see this is what she does, and maybe that's why people don't really want her to come out into the community. So I'm Yo Beckles, I'm British, but many of you know me. My parents came from the Caribbean. In the 60s they went to England. I was born in Britain. I have 2 other siblings, a brother who was behind me and a sister who was behind me. I was the oldest, I was a very gifted child, and my parents took on education head on from day one. So I'm a real passionate about education. I do believe, like Maya Angelou said, is the key to the door. It does open up every single door that you want. I've been all over the world, been to 27 countries, I've worked on 4 continents, and now I live in America. 2 years ago, at the age of 50, I had my first African-American child, so I do have an Afro. So I feel I have something to say about America now. Because before they were like, oh, she's an outsider, but hey, she is here. I'm going to show her some of her today. I'm going to give you inserts on the kind of raising that I have. So I have now 5 children. When I arrived in 2008, I had 2 children. Now I have 5. I have a 25-year-old who my husband raised, a black man, never was arrested, never went to jail, never was stopped and searched, never was excluded from school. We're not in those statistics. Yeah, he needs a round of applause. Seriously. A single black father who raised his own child, 2 children. Then a daughter who's 20, she's just about to go to the Cordon Bleu cooking school in Pasadena. She has a passion for cooking, so we're developing that passion. Then I had a very, very bright 20-year-old, so we like have these 2 girls, and both of them have a love and passion for cooking. It's just bizarre that they grew up on other sides of the world, but they have the love. But my daughter also is extremely bright academically. She was a highly gifted student. She graduated Hollywood High with a 4.9 GPA. She got Harvard, Yale, and Columbia, and decided to go home to England. So it can be done. Black people do know how to write. me. If the system has failed our children and we haven't been involved, then we have to take some responsibility. That's the place I come from. And I'm saying today that today is about how we get others to take the responsibility to change the game. Because right now, when I tell you what I'm going to change the game is not stacked in our children's favour. Okay? Then I have a 14-year-old son. A couple of my colleagues will be watching him graduate this year from his private school that I had to send my son to because LAUSD ran my child out of school. So when you're a revolutionary, know what it comes with. It comes with retaliation in this system, okay?
Right.
I'm just putting it out there so people know. When you take on the system, they come at you. Whether you're me, whether you're running a non-profit and you're succeeding, if you're black and successful, this system comes after you. Period. So you better have some soldiers in your army ready to watch you. And they don't always look like us, right? That little soldier in the back over there, he don't look like me, but he's one of my soldiers. So you all graduate. LAUSD's lost a brilliant young black boy who's going to graduate from his little Catholic school. We're not even Catholic, but that was the only school that would take him in LA because of what his mother did. And he looked at me one day and he said, "Keep your revolution to yourself." And I explained to my 14-year-old, I'm doing this so you don't have to be a revolutionary. Let's get that clear. So he will graduate, the only black boy in 92 children in his school. He will graduate valedictorian. Alright? Okay, some of my colleagues will be joining me on Thursday to watch him go through it. And then I had this little superstar at 50. First of all, Walter said to me one day, "What the hell are you doing having a baby at 50? I said, "Well, I have you, don't I? And I have my husband." So Walter spent the last 3 years with me every day, looking after me, going through that pregnancy. And he will tell you that to the day before my giving birth of my daughter, I was doing a training session like this. In Oakland, and he had to drive a car. What he did tell me is that he had the kit just in case I gave birth in the car. I didn't know all of that. He tells that story as part of our presentation now. So I do say that I have 5 children and my husband's still talking about having a 6. He doesn't like odd numbers. He better live with his odd number. But hey, so he, you know, here's this single man who did his thing, here's this single woman who, but I have to tell you, having a black man in the home has made my life so much easier. I'm not going to break it down. I'm going to break it down. When you have a brother who's got your back, believe me, life just flies. And I do feel I can take on anything and do anything now because of Carlton. So I'm going to put that on film because he says I never talk about him, so you got it? Put that on record. So that's me. What's my dreams and aspirations? Really, I have to tell you, my whole dream has been from the age of 24 when I became an entrepreneur. The education, we have to turn it around. I'm so tired of people telling me about closing the achievement gap, underachievement, black boys dropping out. I'm tired of that conversation. I don't know if the rest of you are. So I go in rooms, and for those of you who know when I'm in those rooms, I say, well, hold on a minute. Why are we still talking? What are we going to do? What's the solution? And the solution is that we have to look at ourselves and create that solution. Because I think we've waited for the system to do it for so long and the system hasn't. Right. So that's really my vision. I hope, I don't ever feel I retire because I love this work. Sometimes I get paid, sometimes I don't. But I don't care. I just love this work and I will continue to do it until every black child in the world, because what's going on in America is going on in London, it's going on in the Caribbean. Alright, so let's just put it out there, it's going on across the world. So we have to join up our thinking, join up our networks, build our armies and really share a vision that our children feel when they grow up that they can achieve. Now I've got a few little goodies, and the first little goodie I'm giving away today is the 3 people who this morning could have said you're late, you're a troublemaker, you never help. But one of them was Carly, because Carly and me stayed up till 12 o'clock last night putting all this stuff together. And when my husband phoned at 5 to 12, Carly said, "Lee, I ain't talking to your husband, okay?" So, you know, because of Trayvon Martin, alright, we talk about Trayvon Martin, don't we? But we don't really do anything now that this poor child was far away. I went to the 99, they had hoodie notebooks. I said, isn't that apt? Isn't that apt today? So you are going to get a Trayvon Martin notebook because I think you're a brother. And then this little woman I met, Penny, said to me, "You've got got to meet this little woman. You remind me so of her. And her name is Kim. This woman speaks. Tell them how many languages you speak in.
I speak 2 and understand 3.
So when we say black people don't speak, so I now know, because when I do translation, what I'll tell you, whenever we have translators doing acid, they water it down. So they wouldn't have said half of what I just said to you when they're translating. They would have said, oh, she's got 5 children, and then pause. And I'll be looking at all the people, like, why are they not laughing? But Kim will be able to translate my passion, my energy when I train. So you win one of my hoodies today. Alright? About Teddy, who's hiding in the back. Teddy always hides in the back. But Teddy is one of those black men like my husband who don't say a lot, but when he says something, it has impact. Now, he's going to tell you about when we put all this together, people tried to stop this, and he's going to give you that story at some point. But he fought. Many black people would have said, hey, this ain't my problem, this is her problem. But he said, hell to the no. This thing going to happen, Miss Beckles. You got to mess with her, you got to mess with me. So Teddy gets like 5. And there will be more goodies coming. So before you give your history, there's something I want to show you. And someone gave me and Walter these DVDs about 2-3 years ago, but it's still sending the message that we have to send today, that education is a civil right. And so I want that to be at the forefront of all your thinking today. You can criticise how I train and what I do, but remember, education is a civil right for every child in the world. And I believe right now their human rights are not being met, particularly in District 1, particularly in Crenshaw, particularly in some of the schools called LAUSD. And we do have some people from outside, but I'm going to focus today on LA. A lot of my talk is going to be about what I've examined, experienced, researched, and you will be sharing those stories, because we're going to focus on what are we. Today's not about complaining, remember that. What are we going to do when we leave here? What solutions are we going to write up that Teddy's going to go back to the neighborhood council and say, this is what you stopped. You stopped the community wanting to take action around civil rights of education. Now justify it, because that's what we're doing today. So let's start with the video. I'm very much into technology, and for those of you who are not, you better get with the program. If you come next week, bring an iPad, bring an iPhone, bring something you can take notes, right, Pam? You need to be on Facebook, you need to be tweeting. Me and Pam will be tweeting between each other. And if you ain't on our program, hey, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I just need to say, get with the program. Get your children to teach you. Walter knows my 14-year-old son is the one who taught me.
Education is a civil right. The first thing that comes to their mind is black, white.
Oops.
This is not about black, white. This is about living.
As a child, I used to get up early in the morning, pack my book bag.
Okay, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. This part is amazing. So hold on, I need to stop this to make sure you see.
When I talk to groups of students about it,
we got video to it?
Yeah, it's showing.
Yeah, it's showing on my laptop. It's not showing on the screen. That means I'm doing something wrong here, because it was doing it earlier on. My screen. Hold on.
Remote control and see if it.
Like a picture in that corner.
Yeah, there is.
When I talk to groups of students about education as a civil right, the first thing.
Okay, I'm going to get this right, because you guys.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Okay, so there's my screen. So it won't let me do it when it's big. That's weird. Let me do it from here then.
Yeah, hurry up and play it.
Huh?
Tell us where this is.
Okay, so you've got that on the screen, but you're not seeing this on the screen. Ah, there we go. Oops. So it doesn't like you big, huh?
Go to view where it will say full screen.
Yeah,
That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
it's still a little bit uneven though.
Go to view.
I got some sticks.
Yeah. about education as a civil right, the first thing that comes to their mind is black, white. This is not about...
Okay. You can do this with me today.
Yolande, go to the bar at the top where it says view.
There?
Yeah, and see where it says
Oh,
screen.
okay. Fit screen. That one? Yes, thank you. Another techie in the room. Oh, so we've gone back again.
Living.
As a child, I used to
Nope.
get up early in the morning.
Stupid machine, huh?
There we go.
They're gone. That's the man himself.
Maybe try the remote. Let's try that.
Go back.
Yeah, I'm going to go back in each sit.
It's waking up.
Yeah, so.
That's cold. You need to quit. What am I supposed to say? That's why I like my 69 van. Put a key in it, it starts. I don't have a computer to mess me up. $2,000.
So it keeps flashing onto the screen and then not.
My old van gets 7 more miles a gallon than a new one, too.
Did you do USB display?
Yeah, I just did that. That's why it's back on the screen. But it's not showing it. Let's try again. Come on,
There's
it's-
another one here.
I'll just ease
Well, let's see.
We got a cable to plug it in, so it's not Wi-Fi?
It's not.
It's not the sound.
It's a cable.
Well,
The
it's
Oh, it's
problem
a
is-
cable plug, huh?
It's hard to set it up on there because I remember doing it on my PC and you had to
There
go
we
to
go.
the screen.
It keeps
Yeah.
disappearing. It keeps going in and out.
Monitor or
It's there.
something so that becomes the monitor. You know what I mean?
Switch it around, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's inside.
It's in her computer, it has to say that this is, that it's...
You have to use the external. You can use either the screen, the external, or both together, right? It's that spot. Where is
My house has always
that?
set it up for me, but...
I know what you're talking about.
But I do it on the PC, but I know it was something about checking the way the screen is...
That's for using your computer to use your HDTV through an HDMI connection.
Open it up.
You're exactly right, because she's seeing it on her computer. It doesn't have both.
About education.
Okay, can you all see if I show it from my laptop?
This is about black,
If I turn around my laptop.
about black, white. This
Let me see if I can find that spot on mine. You got a Windows program in that thing?
I know I have.
I know where it is, but I gotta find it in a software where that is at.
Can you all see if I show it from my laptop? Yes? Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
That's perfect.
Yeah, they can see it from the back.
Yeah, there you go. This one. Oh,
Yeah? Is that easier? Okay.
It's all right.
Make sure you can see. Can you do that?
Okay. When I talk to groups of students about education as a civil right, the first thing that comes to their mind is black, white. This is not about black, white. This is about living.
As a child, I used to get up early in the morning, pack my book bag, and hide under the porch and wait for the school bus to come along and board that school bus. I didn't want to go to the field for work. I wanted to go to school and get an education.
It was never a discussion whether we would go and finish school and go to college. It was understood. Because you see, my grandmother's mother was a slave master's child. She was born a slave. And they knew their salvation was education.
When I was a little boy, I learned to read and to like it. And I discovered that by reading, I could be in New York. I could be in Chicago. I could be in England, France, anywhere, but from reading. I mean, that really saved me when I was a child.
My mother grew up in the segregated South. I grew up in the North after segregation. And she would always drum in my head how they fought for the right to be educated. I think that what I never forgot is how she was making me do work and helping me with words she couldn't understand. And I always was determined to try to be something because I felt that it meant so much to her that she wanted me to be something she didn't have the right to be.
I participated in sit-ins at segregated lunch counters and restaurants. We'd be sitting there in a non-violent, peaceful fashion, waiting to be served, looking straight ahead, and someone would come up and spit on us, or put a lighted cigarette out in our hair, or down our backs, pull us off the lunch counter stool, start beating us. We would get arrested, and we would go to jail. But we believed in the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence. And so this business of civil rights, of civil liberties, of inherent rights that you have, that's a part of what makes America the great nation that it is. But you gotta work to protect them. You gotta work to make them real. You gotta reach out and get them. They don't just come to you.
Sometimes I hear young people say, I'm going to quit school, I'm dropping out, I've got to make some money, I'm going to get me a job. They don't realize there are no good paying jobs out there for dropouts. And you ask some young people, well, what can you do? How are you going to earn a living? They say, oh, I can do anything. And I say to them, there's no such job title as anything.
So the issue is education. But it must also be coupled with parental participation and student motivation. It doesn't matter if we keep the doors open and we won't walk through. We believe in you, you have to believe in yourself.
As we talk about 2008, 9, 10, I think for the next 3 or 4 years, the new president is going to have to focus on education being a civil right. What has not been done, what must be done in the future. Maybe the new president will have an office within the White House on education as a civil right. There's got to be a national emphasis to make this really, really happen.
That's what the Supreme Court decision was all about in 1954. The Supreme Court of the United States of America ended legal segregation in public education. And today we must do what we can to see that all our children, it doesn't matter whether they're black or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American, get the best possible education. Education is a right. It is a civil right. So stand up for it, fight for it, speak up for it, speak out for education as a civil right.
So that sets the scene, all right, while we're here. You know, they couldn't say it any better. And I think the reason why I keep showing this DVD is just to keep reminding everybody, particularly those who sit in neighborhood councils, that you're there to do something. You know, you're not just coming together every month to have some meetings, read some minutes, but not have any action. You're coming together because you're really going to take some action, like some of these people say in this DVD. And it's on each and every one of us. I don't care whether you're in a neighborhood council, you're in a community, you're a parent. At some point you've got to hold yourself accountable for doing something. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So thank you. I hope that was useful. If any of you ever want to borrow that DVD just to set the scene, even show it to children, because when my children watch it, it has the same impact. Everybody goes very quiet. You know, every time I show it, people go, because it makes you think. It makes you think. And when they made this, they were hoping that Obama would have had something in the White House. Now we have My Brother's Keeper, which really is a joke. And it's a joke because we, the black community, haven't asked for something more. You know, the Latino community have asked for something bigger than My Brother's Keeper, and they have a $172 million program for their students. We have $5 million for ours, and it's only now going to 5 states. It's not even going to come to California. So all that, so all that work we did trying to get that program into the White House, it's not even going to cover California. So that's the start. I want each and every one of us to go around the room. I want us to talk about, well, what is our education as a group? Why are you here? And why do you do what you do? While me and Rhonda are trying to make sure that I can project onto the screen when I finish. Thank you, George. So, Walt, you want to start for me? Stand up, tell me if you can stand, because I know your legs are swollen right now.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Walter Walls Richardson. I am born in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was raised by a single mother because my father was in the military in the Korean War. I had a very strong mother. I was scared of my mother, not the police. Okay? Because Mama said, don't let the sun go down on you, you don't let the sun go down on you. Okay? And I'm grateful for my mother because I was a strong-spirited boy. Very strong-spirited. And it had not been for my mother's strong hand, I would probably have been dead years ago. But my mother's education was at the center of everything. My mother didn't have nothing but an 8th grade education. But you know what? Back in those days, they didn't have a telephone. You couldn't do nothing. They would beat you home. I still never did figure out how they did that. They beat you home. Okay? The whole village. The village was in place at that time. Okay? The village is not in place anymore. I have 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. I raised them as a single parent. And you know, there is no book that nobody can write on how to raise a child. Because each of them is different. And we have to learn that. So I got kind of angry at first, and then I thank God later on because it allowed me to be involved with education today. Okay? So I went on to school. We didn't have kindergarten and pre-K and all that stuff back in that day, but my grandmother was a cook in school. So at 2 years old, I'm in the 1st grade, down there learning. And when I got to 1st grade, I knew too much. So they had to move me to the 2nd grade. I still knew too much. But Mama said, no, she's not going no further. She wouldn't let me go. But I did graduate when I was 16. I should have graduated when I was 14. But anyway, long story short, and I'm going to stop. I got 30 seconds. I just had the big idea that a partner of mine talked me into going into the military and getting my education in the military and then do it all together. I changed my mind because of my mom. I then left Louisiana and came to California. So I went on back to college. When I got here, they said that the education here and the education in Louisiana was secondary to California. So I went back and repeated the 12th grade. And everything that you were teaching out here in the 12th grade, I learned it in the 11th grade in Louisiana. Amen to that. Okay? So, what I'm saying is that what you learned back there, you knew it. What you learned out here, it's a shame what they're doing for education out here. But I went to college, and then being a veteran, they was giving money for you going to school. So I had exhausted that, and then I got a letter. I had 9 credits left. They wrote me a letter and told me I had 2,000 left credit. So I went back to college to mow big time. And so I went to San Diego State. I left San Diego. I came to Los Angeles, and I started going to school at Southwest College. And Southwest at that time was not even a state-recognized college. So we washed cars. We did all kinds of things. We had bake sales, had everything to raise money and got signatures. The government would not allocate no money for Southwest. We went out there and did it, and we got the signatures, and we raised $240,000. And then we persuaded the government to match the funding. And so that's what started Southwest, going from the bungalow to start the big experiment work we're doing.
Thank you.
Okay? Wow. Most folks don't know that.
to USC for a year, and it was too expensive. I had started the family, so I had to start that thing. I'm going to stop. But I went to UCLA. Yolande and I, we did a program over there for a year. And the college has a name, guys, but they're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing at UCLA. But I told my instructor, I said, y'all are joking. I haven't learned anything here from you. Didn't learn nothing from them. I was teaching them. But that's the sad part. But they was using the data from us to further their program. Okay? I'm going to sit down there, okay?
You mean career?
Well, I don't kind of follow that. My name is Gwendolyn Landry. It takes a village to raise children. I come from a big family. My grandmother came from a family of 16. She had 9. My mother was the one of 2 girls. She was the baby girl. And all of her brothers and sisters had big families, like 11, 10, 8. My mother was the only one that had 1. And that was me. So I had a lot of fighting experience. People to take care of me, because I was passed along through the brothers and all that. There were so many. So it depended whether school was in, school was out. And my mother's oldest brother, he was good at gambling. So he made enough money gambling that he bought a big brownstone building in New York. I don't know if anybody know the brownstone building.
Yeah, yes.
And he moved the family into that, so we were one big happy family. Thank you. And I'm activist. I've taught school, done some of everything. I came to California as a missionary, and then I continued my education while I was here, where I attended Cal State Learning. I graduated with honors. When I went to school back east, I could remember going through metal detectors. We had to go through. I have not seen a school as tough as the school that I went to. You couldn't get into the building without going through metal detectors. They had to check your backpack. You see, Lean on Me? It was worse than it. Okay, so I know what it is to go through that system, where they really don't care. You just there. When people became 16, they would just go to the office, sign themselves out of school. That's it. I can say like 95% of the students, of my friends that I had went to school with, had dropped out. But I was brought up by a strong family that going to school was not an option. It was something we had to do. And I pursued it. And so when I look back today, this gives me even more reason to fight, because I had to fight every day. So when I go down to the board and I speak out, I know what it's like to not be represented, not to have a voice. So therefore we must continue to speak out and to do something to educate our children. We cannot depend on the teachers. We cannot depend on others. As parents, we need to stand up and be the first teachers. If you have to take your little money and put it aside and have some type of intervention or whatever for your child, you need to do it. If you have to sacrifice. If you have to find someone out there that knows a little more than you and say, can you please sit down and help my child do this math problem or do this report. Find someone. If you have to go visit a college and go to the library and say, can you help me to help my child? So we have to take the initiative. We cannot wait for the system. Otherwise, we can't say the system has failed us, but we have failed ourselves. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is and I'm a transplant to California, to Los Angeles. My dad was in the military. He was in the Army, so I traveled around the world. And I lived in New York. I lived in Kansas. I lived, different places. And I did the majority of my upbringing in New Hampshire, the live free or die state. And so I say all that to say this, that education was something that my parents truly valued. My mother always told me that a home is not complete without a dictionary and an encyclopedia. We had a typewriter. My mother, she even made a library in our home. That's how much she valued education. We ate, slept, and drank education. My father, he had newspapers and magazines and all of that, brought to the home, delivered to the home. He even, as a black man, brought his children. I'm the oldest of 5 children. He brought us all. My dad brought us all to the library, and we all had to get at least 5 books, and we had to read them. So education was, we ate, drank, and slept it. And then my father, he is the child of sharecroppers. So, and we all know that reading was once upon a time illegal. And I'm beginning to wonder, for black people, I'm beginning to wonder if it's, it's really not legal. I say all that to say this, that my dad and my mother, they worked as unison, together in everything that they did. So if my mother said one thing, it was daddy speaking. If it was daddy speaking, it was mom speaking. So they worked as a unit. Because they valued education, they sent us all to Catholic schools, or primarily my education was either a Catholic school or I begged my parents to send me to a public school. And I begged them back, please send me back to a Catholic school. So I did that. And then when it was time for me to go to high school, they sent me to a Catholic high school. Actually all 5 of us, and that was a real struggle. When we talk about sacrifices, that was a sacrifice, because my dad was the breadwinner of the family, and my mother stayed at home. She was a, they say stay-at-home moms, but she was a homemaker. She was a homemaker. So they did that with the hopes that I was going to get a better education, right? Well, and I did, but I didn't know that there was a path to college. I did not know there were certain courses that you take. And my counselor, I never saw. I never saw a counselor. So I graduated from high school, but wasn't on the college path. But my dad, he knew that you're going to have to make a living. So he brought me to the community college, well, it was a business college, to get, he said you have to have skills. You have to have skills. So I wanted, secretary. Back in the day, a woman couldn't do anything but be a secretary. So he enrolled me in the secretarial program. So I finished that. At that time, I lived in New Hampshire, and I wanted to go to Boston to finish my bachelor's degree. We didn't know how to pay for college. We didn't know about financial aid. We didn't know about anything like that. So I said, well, okay, I'm going to just, stay. And I was working at a bank. So after I finished my degree, my associates, I became a supervisor in New Hampshire at the age of 21. A supervisor, because I had started from the ground level. Okay, but so then it was always my burning desire, to get to college. I want to finish my bachelor's degree, but I didn't know. I didn't know anything about it. I came to California, and I went to LACC, and I told them I didn't have the money, but I wanted to go to college. The lady said, the counselor said, well, and she just said, oh, can you? That was a white woman. I didn't know, again, anything about financial aid. Nothing, right? So I waited. So anyway, to make a long story short, in 2009, I finished my degree. So I'm very passionate. I finished my master's degree in 2011. So it took me a long time to get to that point. So I'm very passionate about education. I eat, sleep, and drink it. I have 3 children. That was my passion. When they graduate high school, they're going to college. How do I get them there? So I was always in every committee, PTA, whatever. I was ate, drank, and slept there. I go to the board, I speak up and speak out. We have to do this. I go to the school district where my family finished their education. I speak up about that as well. I'm very concerned about the system as it is. We really have to take on this, not just civil, but human rights. Our children are being denied their human rights. 2 weeks ago, the city of Carson, they were going to pass an ordinance for making their city, their fair city, an anti-bullying city. You have to understand that what they were saying is that a child as young as 5 years old is going to be charged with a misdemeanor.
2.
What?
Down to 2.
Down to 2.
Down to 2 years old.
But charged with misdemeanors. For what? Bullying. At 5 years old, developmentally, how is that an appropriate thing? How is that appropriate? I've been compiling different stories about children who have been handcuffed, 5 years old, and brought to where? Jail. They take their fingerprints, and they're taking their pictures, their mugshots. At how old? 5. On up. Okay, and this is different parts of different cities. A woman, a mother, she wanted to get a better education for her children. What did they do? Her dad was paying taxes. He lived in a home in a predominantly white area. Anyway, to make a long story short, she went to jail. The judge wanted to make an example of her. So what did she do? She sent her to jail. She sent her to jail and charged her with a felony. Because she said that it was grand larceny. A grand larceny that she was going to another school district where she did not live. But her father lived there. And she even gave her father the power of attorney for her children. But they wanted to make an example of her. Her father got a year sentence and he died in prison. Died in prison because of this. And these are the stories. This is not way back when. This is today. This is today. Okay, another thing, and I'm going to wrap it up. I just got an email in New Orleans. They no longer have a public school system. It is now a charter system. Yes, charter. The
last 19.
The whole school system is charter. Now, what they've done is made it separate but unequal. Again, this is we have celebrated the 60th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. Guess what they said? The charter schools are excluding black children. They say, well, we can't do anything about it. Because why? They're privatized. That's right. They have nobody to be accountable to. Okay. So, thank you, Marion. Marion's one of my passionate members. Georgie, you want to give 2 minutes?
I'm going to give 30 seconds.
My honourable black brother, I call him, although white man. Go on, Georgie.
I end up being a white guy with a lot of black people, like at the Taste of Soul, and personally, that's a real twister. I feel really elated. At the same time, I feel sick to my stomach because we're supposed to be an integrated city. And I'm going to tell you something, man. There ain't a better damn party in this town than Taste of Soul and MLK Parade. So where is everybody else? I'll tell you, the first time I went, Damien asked me to come, right? We need some help hustling. Signatures for the Subway Coalition.
Thank you.
Man, I've never been to this thing. I walk around the corner at the end, and I turn around and I see, you been there? Wall-to-wall black people. What the hell?
Yeah.
I walk a half a block, everybody smiles like, who cares a damn, man? Everybody else wants to miss the party. And that's what it's been like for me. I'm the oldest of 11, because of what I do. Even my son thinks I'm a piece of trash, and I have nothing to do with my own family. I promised my parents, Celeste King IV, and my friend Richard Arthur, the founder of UTLA and the guy who made LA Unified #1 in the United States in 1970, I promised them what I was going to do. My family's trash, like the rest of America, okay? Even my son, I won't have nothing to do with anymore. Because if they think I'm trash for helping out kids, they're trash. And we can't afford to lose our youth. And this game that just got pulled on Rousseau over this subject that Lamont's been pushing, is if there's one group of children in this country that statistically, the ones in real trouble, ain't black women, it's black males.
Right.
Okay? The women, hate to say this, guys, because there's some exceptions, are the soul of the black community from what I've seen. This lady, and those two, and this war we've been in on this game, they're the only ones, 4 black people and a white guy, okay? But civil rights can't be color anymore.
Right.
It isn't just black, they don't care who you are.
That's right.
If you don't have power, go to hell. I'm going to tell you something you might not want to know. Lamont is being replaced illegally. iPads are being bought illegally, and I've confronted your bitches and preachers in this town, and every one of them being bought and sold grants. Your community is selling itself out, so you people here, and a few others in your community, are the ones that are going to save it. And we got the truth on our side, and I want to say this because Joe hasn't said it yet. Never believe anything anyone tells you until they prove it. Trust is earned, not given.
Thank you.
Okay? And I mean that from me, from her, and this is really our attitude. The best thing we can do to save you and everybody else, to teach everybody, is that thing. You don't, remember Reagan, trust yet verify? I'll trust you as far as I can throw you. Because if you know history, this is a pretty crusty world. And there's so much buying and selling and going on right now, man, you can't believe what's been happening with me running Core California since Celeste died. You want to talk in the back and slicing your throat? Man, I'm telling you. So, all we're going to be able to deal with is the truth, and that's what she's going to show you, because we could show you on video, right, yo? Yeah. At that so-called training for the top parents, Dee Ding Dong dude gets up there and says, I'd be the man for the whole program. And I asked him, didn't I, yo? You read the legislation, dude? They had 62 people making more than $200 grand a year for 58 parents. And the only people in that room who had read the legislation were her and me.
That's right.
Now I'm going to tell you, and this is why I'm telling you this. If you've only seen bullet points and PowerPoints, and you haven't read the original document, do you know anything?
No.
Okay, so what this whole thing has been planned from the beginning, it's been a war, is to show people, to actually educate people. Here's what the legislation says, here's what they say in their PowerPoints and bullet points. Now, what sense do you make out of it? And this is the coolest thing to me because education is key. I was very lucky. I did not go to public school. Okay? I had a 12-year Catholic education by some of the smartest people on the planet, was mentored by some of the smartest people on the planet from a very young age. I was involved with Stony Ridge Observatory, one of 2 observatories used to figure out where to land on the moon. The guy who ran that later started solar astronomy for Lockheed, okay? I was a young kid and these wizards are going to me, now George, and they were honest about it.
Okay, Georgie,
okay. What do you think about this? Well, let me tell you something. If we do that with these young kids and give them confidence like people gave me, these kids are not stupid. They know they're getting ripped off.
That's right.
We got ours and it's our job to give it to them, and that's all I can say.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Yolande Beckles, former vice president of Park Mesa Neighborhood, still affiliated as the Stakeholders Action Chairperson for that community council. Currently, I serve as on the Parent Advisory Committee for ISIC for LAUSD, one of the 47 parents, or one of the 62 parents tasked with the mission of getting this type of information out to the community. And I think that I have gotten off to a great start by hooking up with a beautiful sister who I've known for about 3 years now. And we had talked a few years ago that this is what we were going to do. So to see this come full circle, you know, to me is, it's like a self-prophecy. I know that we are going to win. I know that victory is assured because we are working with each other who are skilled and understand that the mission is not all about, as George said, white and black. They don't give a damn who or what color you are. Right. Knowledge is power. Yeah. And today, from here on out, we're going to receive knowledge and then get it out to the community to create and recruit more soldiers. I am a father of 5, also a military veteran. My oldest just graduated last year from college. She is a special education teacher. So I have 4 more within LAUSD right now that I am definitely using as motivation and as a passion to make sure that they get way more than I got. Right. So I'm here to serve, and it's been a privilege, you know, to work with a lot of you. You know, and I want to say that first and foremost because a lot of this work wouldn't have been done without your contribution. So thank you.
Thanks.
Wow.
Hi, my name is Phil. I'm from Fairfield, Alabama. Walter didn't cover most of my thing. I was raised by my grandparents. My mother's side of the family is the Nolan. We will have our 75th family reunion this year. Where I came from, I talked to Khalid about it quite a bit. I finished from Fairfield Industrial High School. It was an A-rated high school. We didn't have to take, if we wanted to go to college, we didn't have to take exams to go to college. We were right down the street from Miles College. You could walk out of Fairfield Industrial High School to Miles College, just like we had the same thing going on at the high school. I was raised by my grandparents, just like he said, don't let the sun catch you shine. Many days I have raised with the sun, trying to get back home. But we, you know, our school system was set up, and we meet every year. The high school meet every year. They have the 50th anniversary for the class of 62. Wow. From there now, and they celebrate. We give scholarships, and that's just from the high school. We're still together from the high school. They separate. We have a principal named Mr. Oliver. There's a couple books about our high school, and we had everything in our community. We had our own movie theater. We didn't have to go out to the community. We had doctors and lawyers there in the community where, you know, you had the snack bar for, you know, going to there to sit down. The Sneaks had there. You could walk with your girlfriend and go have ice cream. They had the bar. You had Dr. Palm. You had Dr. Drake. And, you know, you had everything right there. I think in the long run, I think that hurt us in a way because when some of us got out in the real world, we really wasn't used to all the backstabbing because, you know, and the one thing we had, if you make an A this week, and you could make a C, a failing grade the next week.
That's right.
Right, because your parents know about it, and everybody, so you rather for the teacher to straighten you out than to go home. Right? You was in trouble. So, you know, if you walk around the street, you have to speak to everybody. And I was telling Lynn, I said, I could just go down the alley to keep from speaking, because one time I didn't speak to Miss Jones, and by the time I got home, my granddad wanted to know if I got grown enough I can't speak, you know. I had to say, well, you know, and that's what we had. We had a Catholic school, we had elementary school, we had a church. Every church you name, we had in our little community. We had barbecue. We didn't have to leave out of our community for anything. And during the boycott in Montgomery and everything, my granddad drove people around to go to different places because we boycotted all the way because Dr. King came up to Inslee and spoke. Wow. So this is where we were. And I was telling Khalid, one time I was on the bus and we were sitting in the front of the bus, about 5 of us. And we told the man, we were going to move. You had it. The siren started ringing, so we jumped up. We was there, and everybody know about 16th Street Baptist Church, you know.
All right.
We go back there, the Civil Rights Museum there. So they trying to put Dr. Shuttleworth's sign out there, so they have the park there. So many people don't know why that was so upsetting, because that was during the time when Sunday school. That was really a disgrace and a shame. So I'm gonna cut it off. I was kind of like a wild card. I've been in real estate. I was organizer for the UAW and everything. And then I retired. And then I think I would come back. But the main thing, I don't believe I have to go to my niece's baby shower. Then I don't go there on mud, because what we say in our family, if you got your family together, the world can't do you no harm.
That's right.
Good morning. My name is Emily, everybody. Okay, I guess I'll be kind of quick, but hell, I do like to talk too. I was born a two-family home. I too went to Catholic school for 12 years.
Yeah.
So all of this is really fairly new to me. I have two sons, an ex-husband, but my youngest is a Marine Corporal. He's currently driving to St. Louis right now on his way to start training for the Navy SEALs.
Wow.
I'm real proud of him. We raised our boys in the Inland Empire, you know, and we sent them to private school just like the two of us went, until they got to high school. Then we put them in public school. But because I went to Catholic school, a lot of this that's going on now, I was really unaware.
Right.
Really unaware. I had okay, about me. I retired from the LA Police Department, communications, after 33 years. So I have a lot of time. Lots of time.
We need you. Communication guy.
Say that right. I attended LA City College, graduated with an AA. And I never furthered my education.
Count down. Always the time.
Yes. Hey, never too old.
That's right. Never.
You got a PhD in reality.
I do.
There you go.
I lost my dad in 1972, and then I lost my mom 2 years ago. But I took care of her for 3 years. She had Alzheimer's. I didn't put her in a home. I kept her in her home. You better believe I had for her things. You know, I learned a lot. It humbled me quite a bit, because I wasn't such a nice person before then. I was a little bit cocky. But I'm not that same person anymore. Taking care of my mom. When you take care of somebody with Alzheimer's, it will humble you. It's like a whole new way of life. And you will learn to appreciate everything, everybody, and life itself, because you do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. And it all comes back on you when you treat people right.
Yes.
Because the angels just came out and helped me with my mom. And I'm not trying to be funny, but everybody was so nice to me. And it wasn't because of me, it was because my mother had been such a wonderful person for so many years.
Yes.
You know, just like the prayers of our grandparents.
Right.
How it's not that we pray.
That's right.
It's that the prayers we get over because of the prayers of our grandparents. That's how we are getting over.
All right.
I guess 2 years ago, or maybe last year, I had been seeing Park Mesa Heights, and I went to the Unity Fest. And I didn't know anybody, but I like to talk, as you can see. Real obvious. And I talked to, I just went up and started talking to people. They were so nice. The people that were there in the council, they were so nice, so accepting, so warm. And I said, oh, hell, I want to be a part of this team. And it made me right then and there. I had been promoting them long before they even really met me, long before they knew. But when I met everybody, I said, oh my God, this is, this is where I want to be. You know? So I had RSVP'd through the city, through Mayor Garcetti's tech program that he has going on today. And, but I came here, I was just going to take some pictures. But it's so interesting.
Thank you.
And it's so, you know, you're taking your own initiative, and that's what we need to do. We have to take our own initiative to learn about these things. So I can't leave.
That's right. You can't.
I can't leave. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go pick up lunch.
Yeah.
And the one thing I left out, we had to have a year of Negro history before we finished. And we had to have a year of Negro history before we even finished school. You couldn't believe our high school without having, and we went into that. That's one, Walter, you're right. That's one thing I had. We had to have it.
That's right.
And we had the teachers there that will be on your back.
Okay.
And stay on your back.
Well, you know, if they talk real history, you get it all.
Yeah, okay, because if I don't come back, you go out of Canada to somewhere.
One more thing. You have a website, because I had a couple people that are online.
All right.
You just give that to me. I want to get your website.
We don't have, we only have a Facebook page.
You don't?
Yeah, we don't. That's why I said we...
This is running fast against the real time of LCFF coming down in LCAP.
Okay.
Because it's only in, what, 2 weeks? Within 2 weeks?
This is what somebody said. I wish I could be there.
Of course you can be there.
I can't. But
next
I don't
Saturday.
know. I've said that. Maybe you can come next Saturday.
That's it.
However,
You know what? Tonight, tomorrow morning, this will be loaded up.
I told her to email. Okay. I told her to send me her email.
Yeah, that's what we need.
And I'll get. Okay.
That's right. That's what we need. It should be in next Saturday.
This is all loading up on the web.
Cool.
Tomorrow morning, this will be up.
In real time.
Where?
On YouTube.
Yeah, we'll give you where it'll be at, and she'll send it out.
Put it on the channel on Facebook, don't worry.
Yeah.
And my lovely teachers back who only got the email yesterday, and it's read today. This morning, it went out.
My name is Mary Wellington, and I'm from Indiana. My mother was the first grade teacher. My father was a World War II veteran. I'm a product of public school system. We had great teachers that loved the students.
Right.
So I'm public education all the way.
Right.
Everyone can afford private school.
That's right.
I came out here and I've been with the LA Unified School District for 29 years. Wow. And this is my second year being a contract pool teacher, meaning I go around and sub, but I'm on my regular schedule. And I'm in District 1. And our children are really hurting in District 1. So I'm coming back, because I've always been involved in education. I'm coming back to see what the solutions are. Our children cannot read. There's not a lot of love there. They're teaching them like little puppies. They're training them to behave, but there's no love.
Right.
So I want to be involved in fighting for that.
Wow.
My name is Jahangir Dasto. My parents came from India. I'm very blessed because I grew up and I still am in a family which is strong and by the grace of God has not been adversely affected because I think of our strong family ties. But I realized late in life that that is not good enough. The big picture is, and it's not just the kids in District 1, I teach in District 4. And what I notice in the big picture is, the only color that really counts is green.
Okay.
And and that's what we're fighting against. Another thing is in terms of segregation. You have segregation. I work in a segregated school, which is my own neighborhood school. I teach in Mar Vista. The schools south of Venice Boulevard are predominantly Latino and poor, but that does not reflect the area. My children were the only children in the neighborhood that went to the local public school, and our neighbors would say, "How could you do that to your children?" but it was the best decision my wife and I made because they knew what they had, and they realized how fortunate they were compared with their classmates. So I mean, in terms of the big picture, and I think that's the problem. I think we're so into our own little picture that when we don't see the big picture, we don't connect the dots, and so what's happening to us is happening to us. I grew up in LA Unified, and I can tell you right now, my generation in LA Unified, I think we grew up with more opportunities. I grew up in a school system where private school was almost unheard of in the 60s and 70s. Everybody sent their kids to the local school. And so at that time, we really all had like that common experience. Now, because of all this different schools and everything, everybody has a different experience. And so they're saying, that's not my experience, and so that's not my problem. And I have news. It is our problem. And because it's our problem, and that's why I came here, because I invited Ms. Yolanda to our school. She very graciously offered to talk to some of our parents who don't speak English. But it was really interesting to see, even though she wasn't speaking Spanish and they weren't speaking English, they understood each other. Because we understand the big picture. Now the question is, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? What we do is, we get this knowledge here, and we spread it out as far and as deep as we can, and we've got to get people to the board. So because it's going to be a very dangerous precedent if it's approved.
That's right.
Very dangerous. So what we need to do is get this word out.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Wow.
So, my name is Sharon Harris, and I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. I came out here when I was 2 weeks before I made 5 years old, so my whole education has been public education in Los Angeles. And at the time, and I do want to say this, because I did have strong African American role models as teachers, especially in the elementary schools. And because my family, I did grow up in a 2-parent home, and my father was the breadwinner, my mother, stayed at home, and she, did what she did to raise us while he was at work. But the thing was, because my family in New Orleans, our whole family is big on education, even though we came from totally meager means. But it was the education that meant a lot. It didn't have pride in yourself and pride in your family and pride in your family's name.
That's right.
So we always wanted to be about what was right. And I knew at an early age I wanted to be a teacher. At 8 years old, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. At 12 years old, I was determined. But it wasn't until I actually started teaching that I really realized what education was really all about and why it is not just a civil rights, but it really is a human right, which is being said now. I see it more so now. Because I went from teaching in LA, and I was teaching in LA from 1975 to 2008, so more than 30 years, I became staff member at UTLA. And it was my leadership in UTLA before being a staff member that also let me see the politics that's really going on right now. And it is the politics that is really preventing our students getting the resources that they need.
That's correct.
But what's more critical than that, it's the shackles that's really capturing the minds, minding the minds of our teachers and those that are educated. And they're just as worse off than our parents that are unaware and uneducated in how to do for their children. It's the same game, right? So I'm just determined that I will do what I can to get the word out to teachers, because our teachers, to me, and I mentioned this at UTLA, that our area reps, our staff, needs to be trained in spousal abuse strategies.
Yes, they do.
Because that's where our teachers are mentally. They behave in a way that they're a victim of being abused. So therefore, when you are abused, there's not much you can give to those that you are caretakers.
That's right.
So that's where I am, and I really applaud and appreciate the work that Yolanda and her crew is doing. You keep it up, because the barriers are great. And I also want to say, we have my 2 grandkids.
All right. You fight for it.
That's the future.
That's what you need to do. That's what my mother did with me. I was sitting over there, and I don't care how many kids messed up, I was a soldier. My mom said, sit in that chair, you sat in that chair.
Well, like Pam, I didn't go on to complete college. I was born in Panama, and when I came to the United States, I was about 13, and my parents I was raised in Panama as a Catholic. When I came to New York, my mom became a Muslim. So I went to University. So I was there.